I just got out of the second Miami Hurricanes practice for fall training camp. Here's who stood out.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You realize now we're 30 days away. 30 days away from the Miami Hurricanes going into the swamp in Gainesville to take on the Gators. So that preparation for that game is happening at the Green Tree practice fields. Yesterday being practice number 1, today, Thursday, practice number 2. I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and writer for allhurricanes.com. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Practice number 2, I was able to watch some position groups that I didn't watch as closely yesterday. Normally, understandably, I'm tempted by watching the quarterbacks. Now, the media viewing period, which is short, and we cannot move around much. We could only watch drills that were happening inside the indoor practice facility. The quarterbacks this morning were working mostly outside. I did get to watch them a little bit at the end of the media viewing period, but I started practice today watching the defensive backs. Now, keep in mind, Miami is practicing in shorts today. We are not at the point yet in fall camp where they're allowed to put full pads on. We have not reached that milestone just yet. So defensive backs this morning, we're going through turnover drills, interception drills, and it was interesting to see Miami's defensive backs getting opportunities to jump routes and trying to catch interceptions. You got an idea of like who's got really good hands in the DB room and whose hands are a little bit less consistent. And some of the guys who looked really good, I thought probably the best consistent hands, looks like a natural in these interception drills, was Damari Brown. Damari Brown heading into his second year. He's going to be competing for a starting job at cornerback. He could be the guy we watch opposite of Daryl Porter Jr. So Damari Brown looked really good consistently, good hands catching interceptions. Also saw some good flashes from Zaquan Patterson. He looks very good. I'm expecting Zaquan to get on the field, not necessarily start this year in my estimation. We are a long way away from that, but I think Zaquan Patterson, as a true freshman, is going to get on the field and get some opportunities this year. Daryl Porter had some good catches, and Mish Powell shows pretty good hands as well, the transfer safety from Washington. By the way, on Damari Brown, not only did his hands look good, he's someone who really stands out with his physique these days. Damari Brown looks jacked. I mean, what is it? Our guy, Gabby Urruti, he looks rocked up is what Gabby would say. I think Peter Ariz dropped a rocked up with us yesterday as well. So Damari looks like he's added some lean muscle even since the spring. So, watching just the drills where you had like assistant coaches were throwing balls and guys were practicing interceptions was nice. Did see some good stuff from the DBs in 7-on-7 drills as well. Daryl Porter did have an interception in 7-on-7. I think it was from a Reese Poffenbarger throw. I mentioned we didn't get to see the quarterbacks as much today because they did most of their work outdoors. I didn't get to see much of Cam Ward today. I did get to see a little bit of Poffenbarger and a little bit of Judd Anderson. And I continue to be impressed by Judd Anderson's development. Like, he's got a lot of arm talent, and, he's pretty mobile for his size. As Peter Ariz said with us yesterday, Judd is not, the statuesque type of 6'7" quarterback. He's got some mobility as well. Judd, remember, was a 2-sport athlete, also played a lot of basketball in high school, and he has that mobility. Going to some of the pass catchers, said it yesterday, day one, I'll say it again. I'm continually impressed by Elijah Arroyo, especially given what he's gone through with injuries the last couple of years. He is out there moving gracefully and with zero restriction. You can see this is the healthiest Arroyo has been since he first arrived at Miami a couple of years ago. My personal guess is, and again, this is just my guess, I think Elijah Arroyo is probably going to end up being tight end 1 this year. But with that said, I also see tremendous growth from Riley Williams, who I think is going to play a lot in that tight end room, number 88. I didn't get to watch him as much today, but it really seemed like he had a standout practice yesterday. And Elijah Lofton, true freshman tight end, number 9. This guy is everywhere you look. I mean, he's making plays, catching passes all over the field. He's always doing something special out there. talk a little bit more about the receivers when we come back. So, guys, these are immediate reactions from Miami Hurricanes practice number 2. We are going to have another episode later today, by the way. We're going to have the return of the truth teller. Bruce Warner will be back with us on an evening episode today, but we're not done talking about fall practice number 2. You want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. And you know I'm only getting started with Game Time. Guys, this is the only ticket app that I use because I'm getting amazing customer service. I'm getting the best features right on the app, and I'm getting the best prices on tickets, especially last-minute tickets. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier because prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Guys, you could save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, so much more. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet to watch Miami at the Swamp, those prices are going to keep going down on Game Time the closer we get to August 31st. And guys, the Game Time guarantee means Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. I love the seat views. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app right before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We're also proudly brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP, bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Thank you so much for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your pods. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, in giving you guys these day 2 practice observations, I'm not making any bold declarations. Like what I've seen out there on this field definitively proves Miami is going 12-0, no 16-0, running through the CFP this year. Nothing like that, folks, because keep in mind the context, okay? The media viewing period is like 30 to 40 minutes. We're watching a lot of individual drills. A lot of the 11 on 11s is stuff that happens when we're not able to watch it. And so on that note, I do not know yet. Maybe once players speak after practice, we'll find out. I do not know at this time whether the offense or the defense won today's practice. Because remember, we got that scoop yesterday. Cam Ward, Miami's quarterback, said it. Defense is 1-0 against us so far. Ruben Hurricane Bain, on the defensive side, he confirmed that after practice yesterday that the defense made more plays. Cam Ward said yesterday that the offense, in his words, was not explosive enough and they weren't consistent enough, that they had some flashes of plays, but it wasn't really something that carried through the entire practice in day 1. And so I would imagine Ward entered the second practice with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. The entire offense did. So maybe we'll find out later. After players speak after practice, we'll find out if the offense even the score today or if it was another one in the defense's win column, because I did not see enough in the media viewing to make an assessment. Offense, defense. I mean, I did see some defensive backs making some good plays in 7-on-7s. We'll talk about that in a second. So there were no circus catches today, but Xavier Restrepo almost pulled one down, almost pulled down a circus catch on a deep ball with one hand. He was so close. I think it was Reese Poffenbarger who threw the football. Restrepo almost came down with it, but I think the highlight on that play was very good coverage by Damari Brown. So Brown played it well. Restrepo almost did what X does because he had a lot of those during spring football. He pulls down those crazy circus catches. He didn't quite get one today. Xavier Restrepo, by the way, because the players are in shorts right now. His legs are like tree trunks, Restrepo. The guy never misses a leg day, that's for sure. I think you can understand why he's got that vertical leap that like defies physics and gravity, because he's not the biggest in stature, but he can go up on the ladder and get pretty much anything. Judd Anderson, I continued to be impressed. He completed a nice throw to the sideline to JoJo Trader. The catch was super impressive and in coverage, so good connection from Anderson to JoJo that I got to see. Robbie Washington also caught a touchdown in practice on a post that looked really good. I probably don't talk about Robbie enough because there's just so many receivers that we talk about, but Robbie Washington looks like he's ready for an increased role this year. And, the receiver room, they are so well coached. And, we're usually pretty close to where Coach KB, Kevin Beard, is, watching him give instructions. He's just a pleasure to watch because Kevin Beard, he's a really good, concise teacher. And he not only instructs, but he demonstrates every drill. And I think does a really good job. You can see it on the field connecting with his players. Something I do want to touch on today that I didn't touch on yesterday and probably should have is probably the sauciest competition we have in terms of depth chart and playing time. The best competition we have is probably going to be Samson Okunlola and Matt McCoy vying to be the starting left guard. Now, you remember Alex Mirabal said this at Media Day on Tuesday before the first practice on Wednesday that Matthew McCoy was going to get the first team left guard reps on the first day of practice. But I don't want anyone to misconstrue what Coach Mirabal said, because he wasn't saying McCoy has won the job. Maybe he will, but that's not what Coach Mirabal was saying. Coach Mirabal was saying this guy's going to get the first team reps day one. So what I'm expecting to happen throughout fall camp is you're going to have some days when McCoy is getting the most prominent reps, other days when Okunlola is getting the most prominent reps. And I think that's a competition that's going to rage on throughout fall camp. And I don't even know if we're going to get word who ends up winning that starting left guard job until we see them line up in Gainesville. Because even when the first depth chart comes out, it might have an or next to their names, like starting left guard, McCoy or Okunlola. Like, we may not actually know who the guy is until we see who lines up for the first play game one. But I think that's going to be a really good competition there. And for the record, because I've had a chance multiple times to talk with Jalen Rivers. I've talked to Jalen starting left tackle at least 3 times since spring football. He was on this show twice. He had media availability on Wednesday, and Rivers speaks very highly of both McCoy and Okunlola, and he's told me on multiple occasions he's comfortable playing next to either one of them. And he said that off the air and on the air, that whoever wins that starting job and plays at the left guard spot next to him at left tackle, he is comfortable with either of them. On the defense, Akeem Mesidor looks very good physically. It's wonderful to have him back. I know he's been through a lot injury-wise, was waiting for those special cleats. He appears to have those now. Newcomers on the defensive line, guys that we didn't get to watch in spring football. Tyler Barron on the edge, Simeon Barrow in the interior. New faces on the D-line. They continue to look physically imposing. Now, those are guys that, again, you can't really make a full assessment until the pads come on. So once that happens, I'm going to report back to you on Barrow and Tyler Barron, but they look like physical specimens, and they look like they're ready to not only make this defensive line bigger, but to make this defensive line even better. And also CJ Clark, who was here for spring, the transfer from NC State at defensive tackle, he looks good to me physically. So I'm excited to see what that defensive line can do. And speaking of guys who are back now, who didn't participate in spring, A.J. Allen at running back, it's nice to see him back, because Miami's backfield is now whole with Damian Martinez, who looks excellent coming in from Oregon State, Mark Fletcher, who's back, A.J. Allen, Chris Johnson Jr., Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, Jordan Lyle, another one. Lyle is someone who stands out to me with his lower body strength. I think Lyle it's a hefty running back room. There's a lot of depth there, but I think Jordan Lyle is someone who can make a case to get some playing time this year, even as a true freshman. He looks very good out there. So in terms of what's next for the Miami football team, they're going to be off tomorrow. There's no practice, no team activity on Friday. Saturday, they will have a practice at Coral Gables, in Coral Gables at Miami. I'm going to be out there covering practice on Saturday. And then Sunday, we've got the open practice at Hard Rock Stadium. That's CanesFest on Sunday. So let me know in the comments below who's coming to CanesFest. Make sure to look for me out there on Sunday at Hard Rock Stadium. I want to meet as many of you guys, listeners and viewers, as I possibly can, because that'll be your best opportunity. Like between now and August 31st in Gainesville, your best opportunity to see the Canes up close in person is going to be CanesFest on Sunday. So I hope to see some of you guys out there. And I mentioned today is not going to be our only episode today. We're going to have a twofer today. We're going to have the truth teller. Bruce Warner is going to be back. And I know he's excited. It's been a couple weeks for Bruce. And guys, try to be civil, because like some of the personal attacks that you give this guy, I mean, he has, there's a reason why we call him the truth teller. He comes on this show and he speaks his mind. And sometimes he's going to say things that you may not like or you may not agree with, but like, don't start talking about his personal life and his kids, or like keep it civil. He does a great job. We love having him on this program. So we'll talk to you guys again later on tonight on another episode of Locked On Canes. We're part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.